everyone. This is Tell the Truth Sports Radio. I'm your host, Ron Fitch. I'm going to tell you the truth about the NCAA tournament and how my bracket was destroyed, and everybody's bracket was destroyed, and why it was destroyed, and who's really the best team in the country. Who's really the best team in the country? I thought it was Alabama. I'll get to that near the end of my segment. They spit the bit against San Diego State, but I'm going to get to the best team in the country. That's the University of Connecticut. And when Alabama and Houston got beat, I'm thinking the Gonzaga Connecticut winner this might be like the championship game. And it really wasn't, because they destroyed Gonzaga. They were big and they were disciplined against Timmy, and they dared the other guys to hurt them, and they didn't. And they destroyed them. They hit a three at the end of the half to go up 7, and they took off from there. And they come at you in waves. That Jordan Hawkins is the guy. If you can't ever leave him open, he had 6 out of 10 threes. I mean, he's shooting 40% for the season from 3. He's lighting you up. And then if you leave Alex Caravan open, he's going to tear you up and make threes. And then the glue guy, Andre Jackson, who's a great cutter to the basket, a great defender. He plays well. Then Sonogo's tough inside, crafty inside. And then you got Tristan Newton giving you points. And then you got Joey Calcaterra giving you points off the bench. And then Donovan Clegan, the other big that spells. Sonogo balling out, playing good inside, playing tough inside with 3 blocks. I mean, so they clog up the middle. They play discipline, and they could run. They could go inside. They play good. They're solid in their half-court sets. And Hurley could dial it up when he sees a mismatch. He's going to stay with that mismatch all night long until you make the adjustment. Then he'll make a readjustment. They could run you out of the gym, and they could hit you with that 10, 12-0, 13-0, 14-0 run. The game's over, and they're not going to let you back in the game. And that is a problem, and they've blown everyone out in this tournament. Now, they're going to get – I do not believe this Miami game will be a blowout. Now, I believe University of Connecticut is going to win a national championship, but it will not be easy. It definitely will, but they're clearly the best team. There's a lot of teams that lack the balance that's needed in these kind of games. And needing that extra score, and the University of Connecticut has all those options. And I just think that in this kind of tournament, the teams that the second and third and fourth options can come through usually come out the winner. Now, that was the great part. This is the good. There were some great games. There was some really great games. I'm picking 3 games that I did like that were really good. The first one was Miami and Texas. That was a fantastic game. And both teams play fast and loose. And Larinaga, one of the best coaches in the country, he plays it's almost like a scatterbrain, kind of let him play kind of way, but there's a brilliance to what they do. He lets his star dribble drive, 3-point shoot playmakers make plays. But it's organized chaos. In Texas is kind of the same way. So they're both up and down, but Texas was doing what they do better. So they were up 13. But what Miami did, they never, ever let Texas get the 15, 17-point lead where they're running and hiding and they're getting ready for the Final Four. And Miami, with the strength of Jordan Miller, who was crushed after last year's loss, would not let his team lose. And he led the comeback little by little at a time. Him and Isaiah Wong and Nigel Pack just were hitting shot after shot after shot on dribble driving off the perimeter. And then when they needed some rebounds, Norchid Omier was able to get all the – and offensive rebounds were the thing. It helped Florida Atlantic go to Final Four. And they were able to get 4 critical offensive rebounds, Miami, and they were able to come all the way back. And this is what I love about March Madness. They come all the way back to tie the score. Then they ended up taking the lead late. They're up 2, and Marcus Carr drives, makes a shot, who was fantastic. And then the biggest play of the game was a bad box out where Brock Cunningham boxed out Omier, but he undercut him. He had a good position, but he undercut him wrong. And with a minute left, he nailed both free throws, and they led throughout the rest of the game. But they got a steal on Carr. There were some bad possessions by Texas. And then Brock Cunningham had no business taking a shot. They score on that. They end up going up 6. And they never went to – Carr never got a shot off. And Rice, who had 15 points, never got the ball, who was the best option was a guy coming off the bench saying Shabari Rice. He was really in the flow, and then he never got the ball. And Coach Terry is one misstep, and Miami, Larinaga and his crew are going to the Final Four, and they deserved it. And they took the game from Texas. And you know what I miscalculated in this tournament? The teams that almost got there, that have returning juniors and seniors, that are desperate, that felt that heartbreak in the first round or almost got there, that want to get back, and they don't want to go home. And next time I do my bracket next year, I'm going to look at the teams that almost got there. If Texas has guys coming back, Texas feels this heartbreak. Kansas State's going to have graduating players. I don't know if Kansas State can get there. I love their coach, though. Teams that have that heartbreak have returning starters that want to get back desperately. I'm always going to factor that in. And that was the issue with Miami. And they are back to they got to the Final Four for the first time in their program's history. And those kids wanted it so bad, and they got it, and they were so happy. And I'm happy for Miami. Sad for Texas, because Texas could have went to Houston and played Connecticut. But Miami, Connecticut's going to be a good game. Now, the other game was Saturday. It was a spectacular, exciting game, back and forth, Kansas State and Florida Atlantic. And Kansas State, they would get up 6, they would get up 8, and you felt like if they got by 10, this Cinderella story of Florida Atlantic, which happens to a lot of teams, if they get down, they just like, okay, well, we got as far as we could, go shut it down. But Florida Atlantic kept chipping away, and what happened is you had Elijah Martin, and you had Nick Boyd, and you had Reese Witherspoon hitting 3 after big 3 after big 3. And, of course, Brian Greenlee hitting big-time 3s to keep them stable in the game. And the most important player was Golden. Golden was big inside. And you know what I like about Golden is a 7-footer. He keeps the ball high. He doesn't really use a lot of dribble. He's a very good target. He can catch the ball in traffic. He knows how to navigate to get buckets, and he's a terrific passer out of the post. And when he passes out, everybody on that team is willing shooters. They have no fear. They have no fear of Kansas State. And once again, Noel put on a show. He had 12 assists, and he had 30 points. The problem with Kansas State, and it ended up biting them in the end, is they didn't have Tomlin, Sills, and worst of all, Keontae Johnson was terrible. Fouling out, and they needed that because eventually Noel wore out, and he did play to the crowd. You kind of saw some rookie league plays that I was into it. I'm like, yeah, do it again. But it was kind of to the detriment of his team because nobody else, he was so ball dominant. What helped them beat Michigan State was the slip screen play off the pick and roll where Johnson and Stills and Tomlin were slipping to the basket, And when they were slipped to the basket, they would drive for the layup or kick it out to an open three. And they were killing a great defensive team, Michigan State. But because it was such a show and he was so ball dominant, and this is where Tang's probably inexperience as a coach took over, we all got mesmerized by his brilliance. But the problem was it was easier to defend toward the end of the game. So Florida Atlantic was able to defend better, and they were able to chip away and then get the lead. And once they hit, I believe, let me see, the 3-point. Yeah. Elijah Martin hit a three that was big. That gave them a 6-point lead, and they were able to hang on the rest of the way. And then they all made their free throws after that. And then there was a big play toward the end of the game where it's a 3-point game, and Kansas State, they need to stop. And maybe Noel could get a three, tie the game, put all types of pressure on Florida Atlantic. Elijah Martin gets this offensive rebound. They killed Kansas State on the boards, even though they're a small team. They're just more determined. And Jonell Davis hits a big-time layup. And they took the lead, and they kept the lead. But it was a 3-point game, and with an opportunity to win the game, tie the game, they were able to get a steal, and they were able to run the clock out and win the game by 3. And Noel could not sit. They double teamed. It was good defense. They double teamed Noel, and once they got out to the 3-point shooter, he got the ball taken from him, Musad, and that was it. And there was no help. You needed help in that game, and Noel didn't get it, and he kind of got worn out. And I wanted to see them go further, but I was in love. It was crazy because I was in love with the way Kansas State played, but Florida Atlantic, I love that too. I love that too. And Musad he had hit some big shots, but he didn't get a chance to get the 3-point off, and Florida Atlantic marches on. The other big game, it just came down to one play. It was a great back and forth. San Diego State and Creighton. And Creighton made a steal, ties the game. If it goes to overtime, Creighton's got momentum. And I want to see Creighton win because I kind of want to see Creighton versus UConn, the Big East kind of deal, Big East Championship 2.0. But the bad play was the Nembhard foul. And Darian Trammell, who's had a good tournament, drives past Nembhard. The problem is everybody think Nembhard's a go by fouling him, but there was no help. So Nembhard, I could tell he kind of panicked because he sees that Trammell's got an open lane for the game-winning shot because nobody came over hard enough. You got to come over with the time running out. Trammell doesn't have enough time when you come over to help to pass the ball to your guy. You got to come over help immediately. And you worry about that and later, and you're probably going to go to overtime if you contest that shot. And the team defense was bad. Yeah, it was bad that Nembhard made the foul, but he would never have had to make the foul if the team defense was correct. And now Creighton's home. It's the little things that'll get you beat. And San Diego's, they're not the most exciting team, but they are one of the best teams, defensive teams left to try. They will D you up. And they're gonna have to. Florida Atlantic is hard-nosed. San Diego State is hard-nosed. On the other side of the bracket is Miami, who's a terrific perimeter team, great fast break, hard-nosed, going against Connecticut. And I know Hurley is going to go inside. Sonogo, we're going to pound it inside. We're going to slow them down a little bit, wear them out like a body blow, and see where it goes. But nevertheless, it's been a great tournament. You're not going to see the big blue bloods, but it'll be some excitement. I'm just disappointed. Finally, I'm disappointed in Alabama. They were horrible. They were horrible, and they were able to kind of slip into the game against San Diego State. But I didn't like anything about what Alabama did They were 3 for 17 from three. And Brandon Miller was horrible. 1 of 10, played bad. Grinley was okay, 4 of 13, but 3 turnovers. Brandon Miller had 6 turnovers. He was just horrible. I don't think it's going to mess his draft status up, but I think he drops to number 2 in the draft because the kid from France could shoot it better, and they're both kind of big, long Durant type of guys. But Miller's got to get a more consistent jump shot. And that worried me about Alabama. They ran hot and cold from outside, and I've seen them run a little more cold going toward the tournament. And I'm thinking if they don't pick that up, they're going to get beat. And remember, I picked Alabama to win all, but I said to about every team that no one's a clear-cut favorite because you could get beat if you don't play your best. Alabama played their worst. Say they're going to State beat them up and sent them home. I was disappointed in the coach. It was a 2-point game. You fouled. You had a chance to get a stop. You didn't have to foul. It was a mess. Alabama was a mess. And I just wonder about the situation when Brandon Miller allegedly brought that gun to the murder scene. I know he would like to have that back. It was a distraction. They needed armed guards. It was a mess. Fans taunting them. That was an extra distraction. Without the extra distraction, maybe they win a national championship. But that's poor Brandon Miller's got to weigh that on. But he's moving on to the NBA. This is a problem going forward before I close this show out. The family of the murder victim. They haven't said a lot. They've had some criticism of Brandon Miller. They haven't said a whole lot. Brandon Miller gets that big rookie contract. I just wonder if that family's just sitting there and the lawyer's sitting there, let's wait for him to get the contract. And we don't want to prosecute him. Let's sue him. Let's get some of that salary of his. I mean, I hope that doesn't happen. But, you got to be responsible for your own actions. I'm telling my friend, I'm not bringing no gun anywhere. Come get your own gun. But, in the heat of the moment, a good kid made a terrible decision. And we don't know if this is the end of it. You got the trial, and then he's got his draft. And you just never know.